Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cabral Concept, the first house call of the weekend. So the Cabral House Calls, if you're new to the show, are our weekend edition of the Cabral Concept. So Monday through Friday on the Cabral Concept, I try to share with you a Mindset and Motivation Monday, a Total Wellness Tuesday, which is usually based in functional medicine or naturopathy or naturopathic medicine. On Wednesday, it is about body transformation, weight loss, weight gain, something within that realm. Thursday is dedicated to toxicity-based shows or exercise. We call them training Thursdays, or a lot of our high performance health. That could include brain health as well. And then on Friday, it is an overall all-encompassing show, product reviews, book of the week, 2 research studies, recaps, and so much more. And then the weekends is all about you, making sure that we get your questions answered. So without further ado, let's get into the first question of the day. Can't provide any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis, but the goal is actually to help you with what matters, and that's looking for the underlying root cause as to what ails you. All right, so let's dive into it. First question, as I said, is from Maggie. Maggie says, I'm on the last week of the 21-day functional medicine detox by Equilife, and I feel amazing. Do you recommend I do another protocol of yours? I'm happy to hear that you're feeling great. And again, most people, they do. They really do feel amazing. It is life-changing. Check out a show that I did on the 4 cleanses or detoxes per year. So basically every 21 days, 7-day functional medicine detox, 21-day if you've never done it before. And then after that, you want to make sure that you do a parasite protocol each year. So the parasupport protocol. And then each year you also want to do a heavy metal detox. All right. So those are the main 3. And then with that, an intestinal cleanse. So typically you're doing an intestinal cleanse though during the heavy metal or definitely during the parasite. So those are the ones that I recommend on an annual basis that every human being should do, because we're all exposed for the most part to parasites. We're all exposed to heavy metals for sure. That's a definite because we see that obviously every single day. In our practice, running thousands upon thousands of the minerals and metals test every day. And then the detox, because there are now more than 120,000 man-made chemicals all around us. So that's what I recommend. Keep up the great work, Maggie. And then all of these protocols are at stephencabral.com/shop. That just takes you over to Equilife, which is our functional medicine practice. All right, Maya's up next. Maya says, hello, Dr. Cabral. I'm a 45-year-old woman and I have a lot of goals I want to achieve. Love to hear that, Maya. However, my monthly cycle appears to hinder my progress. During the initial 2-week post period, I feel enthusiastic, energetic, clear-minded, and ready to conquer the world. But a few days after ovulation, I experience a decline in energy. My workouts become more draining, my thoughts turn negative, and I struggle to stay on track with my goals. I know that this is likely due to hormonal fluctuations, but I would love to maintain consistent energy levels throughout my cycle. Are there any supplements or strategies I could implement to sustain this energy? It's worth noting that I lead a healthy, active lifestyle and I'm very mindful of my cycle. Thanks so much for your answer. All the best, Maya. All right. So Maya, I literally have an entire section of podcasts just dedicated to this in terms of female hormones. So you can go to stephencabral.com/podcast, scroll through the images at the top, go to the one on hormones. I also have a whole course just on female hormones. It will tell you everything you need to know within 4.5 hours. Now, it might seem like, oh, well, 4.5 hours is a lot. But if you really want to know everything on a topic, you will learn everything on that topic. And that's at stephencabral.com/courses. So this is called typically estrogen dominance. We've seen this tens of thousands of times, not thousands, not hundreds, but tens of thousands of times in our practice, estrogen dominance. I have so many shows on it, so many case studies on it. I want to give you the synopsis though. After you go through basically the ovulatory cycle, so we've got the follicular phase of the cycle, you feel great, like many women do. Then we got the ovulatory phase right around the middle, 14, 15, 16, right around there. We're talking about days. And then towards the last, let's say 10 days of your cycle, the luteal phase, if you have estrogen dominance, so more estrogen, not necessarily high output of estrogen. It actually just means typically lower level of progesterone and the ratio's off. Then you start to get all the negative thoughts, lower mood, poor sleep, sometimes night sweats, sometimes acne, sometimes bloating, sometimes water retention, weight gain, the low mood, low energy, all that. I totally get it. I've seen this, as I said, tens of thousands of times in my practice. Best thing you can do is this. Run the stress mood and metabolism test on days 19, 20, or 21 of your cycle. You'll mail it back in and you will get a coaching call with my team plus a personalized wellness plan of exactly what to do. That will personalize it for you. So you want to do it on a day when you have symptoms, and that's typically days 19, 20, or 21. And you can find that lab at stephencabral.com/hormones-test. Or of course, everything is at stephencabral.com/shop. That'll give you exactly what you need, because remember, could be somewhat cortisol based, especially in the evening. Could be lowered thyroid. Definitely going to probably see estrogen dominance as well. All right, so we'll help you with that. Kristen's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you for your podcast. I've been learning a lot from it. I'm a dietitian, and I'm having a really hard time understanding the food sensitivity test that functional medicine practitioners use. I listened to a recent episode on that. This is a test that dietitians generally do not use. From my understanding, these tests reflect a normal reaction to the foods that we have recently and regularly eat. When they remove these foods during the elimination phase and retest, it only makes sense that the IgG response to these foods is lower, since it hasn't been recently eaten. When these clients come to see me with the results, I really pay attention to the results, but rather focus on cleaning up their diets, lifestyle, etc. Would love to hear your thoughts on my view. Yeah, happy to. Always happy to. I mean, again, we have hundreds of registered dietitians inside of Integrative Health Practitioner Institute. We have hundreds of nurses, a lot of hundreds of doctors, hundreds of chiropractors. So lots of people from the wellness, health, medical profession as well. You know, here's the thing. I totally understand where you're coming from, but it's simply not true. And here's why. It is a 190 food test. The typical reactions we see from an individual would be from like 3 to 6. Right? Like 3 to 6 food sensitivities. All right. Think about how many foods an individual eats during the day. So like, let's just say for myself, I'm having some of the daily nutritional support. Okay, that's pea protein. It's rice, a little bit of rice protein in there. What else am I having? Daily fruit and vegetable blend with all these 22 organic fruits and veggies in there. And then at lunch, I'm having some carrots, some broccoli, some cauliflower. Some days I'm having chickpeas. Some days I'm having cannellini beans. Some days I might add in a different type of protein. And then I might have an afternoon smoothie. Okay, we've got some, and in this morning too, some blueberries and some raspberries and some strawberries. Okay, then at night I may have some asparagus, some bok choy, vary my proteins each night. I have olive oil. So, you know, on a given week, maybe I'm eating like 50 or 60 different foods. Okay, well, if this test just shows the foods that you eat the most frequently, well, why are all 50, 60 foods not showing up? That's not how it works. So what happens is when we see a lot of sensitivities, it means that it most likely means the client has a lot of increased intestinal permeability, that their white blood cells, which are actually seeing this, their immunoglobulin G cells, right, from that delayed response, are now activating against those. Remember, you're taking a person's blood and you're activating that against 190 different foods, right? And we're looking at the reaction. And then there are all these foods that someone's not reacting to, and yet they eat those also in their diet. So it's really not about that at all. I wish there was more true education around this, but hopefully that answer helps you to get started on it. It's not the end all be all, but it is absolutely very helpful in helping a client to understand and really what foods, even healthy foods, they can be sensitive to. All right. Thank you for writing in, Kristen. We appreciate you and all the great work you're doing. Jack's up next. I completed a mycotoxin test and I have high mycophenolic acid. How can I detox it out of my system? Where did it come from? Please help. All right. Always happy to help. Remember, if you run these labs through Equilife, you will not only get your results, you'll get a summary of your results, you'll get a personalized wellness plan as to what to do, and many of these labs also come with a coaching call. The issue is people are running labs all over the world, and all they're getting are their numbers, and they have no idea what to do, and they're scared, and they're worried. This is why it's not just the numbers that matter. It's the support and the plan that are really what matter, right? That's ultimately. So I can't recommend it enough. Run your labs with an integrative health practitioner at integrativehealthpractitioner.org or run them with Equilife. 2 options. It's totally up to you. And again, we have no affiliate relationship at all to any of the integrative health practitioners and their businesses. They do their own thing. They run their own show. And so totally your choice. Just want you to know that. All right. So now let's help you though. Mycophenolic acid, it can come from and mainly from water damaged buildings. So you may not know it. It's growing behind sheetrock. It's in an office. It's in a home. It's in a bathroom. It's in the vents in your home. Those types of things. Or it's coming from dry cereal-based grains or nuts or things like that that can get mold over time, depending on how they're stored. So that's typically how you get it. I can't give you a diagnosis as to how you got it, but there is something called the mold toxicity protocol. Again, go to stephencabral.com/shop. It is the #1 mold reduction protocol. Typically, it's done, though, after the CBO protocol. So if you have gut issues, you're typically doing the CBO protocol first. And then while you're doing the CBO finisher to heal and seal the gut wall, you're doing the mold toxicity protocol. That's the best of everything if you're able to do it like that. All right, Jack? So hopefully that's helpful. Aaron is up. Aaron says, I have thoracic pain and tightness. I grew up playing sports, so basically thoracic pain and tightness for people. Thoracic means chest and back. So any of the thoracic part of the spine. So the cervical part of the spine is the neck. And then as you start to get to the chest area, the solar plex here, that whole part, front and back, is the thoracic, okay? I grew up playing sports and then played competitive golf through college. I remember at the beginning of every round, my upper back was always so tight, and I felt a really deep tightness. So much so it interfered with my swing, but after 3 to 4 holes, it started to loosen. Fast forward to now, and it seems my thoracic area is constantly tight, and if I do weights, or like yesterday, a lot of raking, that area is sore and tight. What is the cause of this, and what can I do? Sometimes I feel like it constricts my breathing when it gets so tight after heavy weights or physical activity involved my upper body. All right. So a lot of people would tell you need to do more stretching and foam rolling. I don't necessarily always agree with that. Yes, like foam rolling is amazing. Massage is amazing. Stretching is great. No doubt about that. However, when we look at it, so in exercise physiology, which is something I studied in depth and used to do, still do it to this day, but not to the same degree. Obviously, my role is more as a doctor of naturopathy and integrative health practitioner. But before that, from 96 to 2007, 2010, deep involved in exercise physiology and love it. So here's the thing. We always look to the body above and below the joint. So if you have knee issues, you need to look at ankle mobility and hip mobility, right? Like that's a huge thing. If you have hip-based issues, you need to look at the lower lumbar, the back, right? And you look at knees, down. So for the thoracic part of the back, what do we have? We've got the lower back, right? Core. And then we have above that, the cervical. So oftentimes the different sections of the body are overworked based on compensating for other areas. And that's like really, really well known, really common in like high-level exercise physiology, which is how I learned it. Again, I don't make these things up. I learned from great teachers, great textbooks, and then from the real world, right? It's from actually working with people. And so first, what we need to do is loosen that area up. We usually use a double tennis ball taped together. We call it a peanut, and we're rolling up and down the thoracic spine. Obviously, it's beside your spine, right? The muscles beside the spine. And then what we're doing is we're opening up the chest, but we're also working on what are called the SCM muscles in your neck. Okay, that's really important as well. We're working on the levator scapulae. We're working on the upper trapezius, working on all the muscles to loosen those up. Then what can actually be the issue is that the trapezius muscles are weak, right? Or your chest muscles are too tight. And so the back then is overstretched forward. And we call that more kyphotic posture, right? A lot of people can have what's called lordosis and kyphosis. And so our job is actually to correct posture, strengthen the core muscles themselves, open up the hips and get the hips strong so that the lower body is actually anchored more to the ground, which is so helpful for golf, by the way. A strong lower body, believe it or not. A lot of people think it's just their upper body swinging. No, a strong lower body and hips is what drives through the ball, right? That's really important. The flexibility, the mobility is obviously very important, not to get injured, but also to get that whip with the club, especially obviously for driving. So that's where I recommend. And if you can find a good postural analysis, I would do that. A functional range conditioning specialist can be very helpful. National Academy of Sports Medicine, high-level personal trainer can be helpful. All of those things helpful. But also just again, if you're into exercise, which it kind of sounds like you are, hopefully the information I gave you about muscle imbalances gets you on that right track. All right. Aaron, thanks so much for writing in. That was our last question of the day, but I will be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Take care, everybody. Have an amazing rest of the weekend. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.